My name is Emily Steele. I'm a clinical social worker, and I work at Family Support and Treatment Center in North Orem. I've been working there for 2 years. I did a bachelor's in psychology and then a master's in social work at Brigham Young University. And today I'm going to talk about mindfulness and just some key points that as young single adults would be really important to know. In this time of life, a lot of people are very full in their mind, but maybe not mindful. And I think just in any point of life, that's really what a lot of people will come across, is just having a really full mind, having a busy mind, having a lot of things they're worrying about. And oftentimes there's 3 different windows that people will spend time in, and 2 are more common than the other. That's the past and the future, and then the present. And so most people spend most of their time either in the past or the future if they haven't practiced being in the present. And that's what mindfulness is. It's just being mindful and aware of what's going on in your present moment right now as you are, inside you, in your mental activities, outside you, what's going on, but just being aware of the present moment. So oftentimes when people find themselves in the past, they're either dwelling or ruminating on things that have happened that they can't control. And most often that's linked with feelings of depression, because it's outside of your control now, you've already experienced it, and a problem that can't be solved isn't worth worrying about. You worrying won't actually change anything that happened in the past. So that's the window of the past, and in the past you're in psychological time. So you're not in real time, and in psychological time you actually can't act. And so the only window that you can actually act in is the present. So then if you're always spending time in the future, those are where a lot of the what ifs come in. And I think especially as young single adults, we spend a lot of time worrying about our futures. And really at any age, I think it's normal to worry about the future. And so worrying about the future is most often linked with feelings of anxiety. And in the future window, you can't act in that window either. There's nothing that you worrying or your mind being outside of the present it's going to help you do. The only place you can actually do something is in the present, and you can only do that if you're fully mindful. So a couple different exercises that you can do to help yourself be mindful and in the present are: 1, attuning into your 5 senses, and this can really be done in any moment, any time, even while you might be eating maybe a snack. So I'm going to use an orange as an example. And that's something that you can just really say, okay, what is this orange? What am I seeing? Notice the colors. What does it sound like when I tear into it? What does it feel like? What is the skin? Is it thick? Is it thin? What does the weight feel like in your hand? And just really having a mindful practice as you go through the process of eating this orange. What does it smell like? Just noticing the smells, noticing what it tastes like. And oftentimes I think we find ourselves just fast forwarding through a lot of these moments where we start ignoring ourselves. And a lot of times, especially in clinical work, most often with my clients, I see people that come into my office and tell me that they don't know who they are, or they've been ignoring themselves most of their lives, or they can't sit with their own thoughts, or they make themselves so busy in order to avoid their feelings or feeling what they're feeling. And so that's something that really just leads to kind of a confusion of identity. And so if we can be mindful and present, then we actually experience a fullness in life, and we're actually able to be present with life that's happening to us. The second thing you can do to practice mindfulness actually comes from the research of Dan Siegel. He studies interpersonal neurobiology, and he really just looks at what he calls the integrated brain. And so what that means is, as we're mindful and we're present, our brain is more able to regulate our emotions. We're able to kind of be more in control of our mental activities rather than them controlling us. And so he introduces what's called the wheel of awareness. And what this looks like is you have this wheel, and in the center you have a hub, just like any other wheel. And in the hub is what you're currently aware of in the present. Okay, so you might be aware that you hear my voice. But when I draw your attention to your breathing, you might not have been aware that you're actually breathing until I bring your awareness to it, because it's something your body just kind of does, right? And so then the hub kind of has a spoke that goes out to the rim of the wheel, and outside on this rim are all the things you could be aware of, but you have to direct your awareness there. And so you can practice kind of directing the spoke around different senses of the wheel. And so these senses, Dan Siegel will talk about the 5 different senses, but extend that past your 5 senses to a 6th, 7th, and 8th sense. And the 6th sense is interoception, which includes the interior of the body. So not just noticing, you know, the outside and what your body may be, you know, experiencing as your sense of touch, but also your organs, your body systems, the inside of your, you know, your abdomen even, and just different things that you can walk yourself through and ask yourself, you know, what is going on inside my body? And your body will give you a lot of information. And then the 7th sense is the sense of your mental activities, and so that could be feelings, thoughts, hopes, dreams, desires, and basically you just give yourself time to actually be with your thoughts and notice what's coming up and not giving any judgment to those thoughts. The last sense is the 8th sense, and that's interconnectedness, or a relational sense. And so with that relational sense, we have a sense of being connected to those closely around us, our friends and family, people in the room, and then broadening that to be a community, people in the same state, people in your own country, and then eventually extending out to people that you're connected to, or just feeling that interconnectedness to all living beings on the earth, all living things on the earth, and just really feeling that sense of connectedness. And so you can kind of even use just 5 minutes a day to use that spoke and direct it to different senses, 1 through 5, and then also 6, 7, and 8, to that interconnectedness, mental activities, and then also the interoception inside your body. And so that's just something, the more that you practice mindfulness, you can become more aware and actually kind of tune in really to your own life, and you feel that fulfillment come in as you're able to actually be present with yourself. And when you're more present with yourself, you can also be more present with other people as well.